Hello, everyone. I'm so happy you all joined, and I hope you had your lunch or having lunch or drinking a coffee now. So let's dive into measuring internal communication. First of all, I'd like to highlight the fact that when we came up with this topic, we sat together and discussed the structure and the content, and with the project management team and also with the sales team, and we came to the conclusion that we feel it's kind of it's something that it's underestimated, though we think it's incredibly powerful. It can be a powerful tool if you use it well and right. So here's the thing. Communication is one of those areas where everyone agrees it's important, but when someone asks how can we prove it that it works, suddenly everyone goes quiet. So the reality is we can't measure what we can't improve. So now let me start with the fun fact we encountered during the research about the topic. It said that an average office worker receives 120 emails per day. So that's like an email every 4 minutes during their workday. I think it's crazy. It's a lot. So meanwhile, blue collar frontline workers, employees who keep the logistic running, factories operating, retail shelves stocked, they might not even have company addresses. So let me talk about internal communication. And when we're talking about it, we're not talking about one audience. We're talking about many audiences who live and work in completely different realities. And if our channels are different, our measurement has to be different too. So that's exactly what we are gonna explore today, to how to bridge the gap and how to prove the real value of communication. Leaders don't invest in what they can measure. So you can have the most inspiring story, the most creative campaign ever, and the most heartfelt video. But when the manager, the CFO, the director asks, did it work? Did the campaign work? Then we say, well, people seem to like it. But if we answer the question like this, we kind of lose credibility. So measurement is how internal comms earns its seat at the strategy table. So it's not just about counting clicks, it's about connecting communication to business outcomes. So for example, did engagement with safety updates actually reduce incidents? Or did our onboarding messages improve retention? Or did our internal storytelling boost pride and advocacy? So that's kind of the proof that leaders want to see. And it's what elevates comms from cost center to strategic partner. But when we talk about measuring internal communication, we go straight to numbers. But measurement actually lives in two dimensions. So there's the quantitative side, the numbers that give you scale, and then there's the qualitative side, the meaning that gives you that. You need both for measurement, because numbers can be misleading without a meaning, and meaning without numbers can sound just like an opinion. So let's look at both lenses in detail. Quantitative data, yes. So quantitative data tells us what happened and how much of it happened. So it's fast, it's objective, and comparable over time. There are dashboards and engagement graphs and reach charts. They tell you where the audience is, but not necessarily what they felt. The common and useful quantitative metrics in internal communication are these 6 ones. First one is email open rates. So they are great for understanding initial action, but track click-through rate too, because opens don't equal understanding. And there are the video analytics: how many started, how many finished, and the average watch time. It's 80% of people drop off after 10 seconds of your video, maybe the message was too long or the format didn't work. And the third one is intranet metrics. Those are page views, unique visitors, and dwell time, comments, and repeat visits. Dwell time is kind of underrated. It's a proxy for whether people actually read, not just clicked. There is app usage and notifications. So these are especially important for blue-collar audiences. They track how many opened the content or scrolled or tapped into a linked content, for example. Event or town hall attendance, and also we have participation in poll surveys. Response rates can signal not just engagement with the topic, but trust in the communication process itself. Our tip is don't just measure a number, measure a trend. An open rate of 40% means a little in isolation, but if it's grown from 25% in 6 months, that's real progress. So you can even visualize your trends, like steady communication equals healthy engagement. Now let's move to the second lens, which is qualitative measurement, the one that answers why those numbers look the way they do and how people are feeling. So this side captures emotion, sentiment, and understanding. Things that can't easily be counted, but absolutely define whether communication works. The first one is open-ended survey questions. Instead of just rating 1 to 5 scale, ask what part of this update was most relevant to you, or what would you like to hear more about next time? These questions give you richer insights than any multiple choice question. The second one is listening groups or focus sessions, like a 20-minute chat with a handful of employees after a big campaign. They can tell you more than a week of analytics. The manager feedback loops. So team leads are frontline sensors. Ask them what people are saying in daily huddles and in daily meetings. Comment and reaction analysis. If you use workplace internal social tools, analyze the tone of responses. Are people curious, proud, skeptical, frustrated, energetic, how they are feeling? And there are the storytelling indicators. When employees start quoting internal messages in conversations or reusing campaign phrases, that's qualitative success. And there we have AI-powered sentiment analysis, because some platforms can actually summarize thousands of open comments and cluster them by topic or tone. And another tip is that when you analyze qualitative data, look for language patterns, meaning, do employees say we when they're talking about the company issue, or they? So a shift from they to we is subtle, but very powerful sign of improved belonging and trust. So qualitative and quantitative are not competing, they are complementary. And think of it as quantitative tells you what's happening and qualitative tells you why it's happening. So if you measure only opens and clicks, you're just counting eyeballs and not understanding. And if you only rely on stories, you might miss scale and trends. But let me give you an example for both. For example, your campaign email gets 70% open rate, which is amazing, right? 70%, it's a huge number. But in follow-up focus groups, people say they didn't really understand the call to action. So that's quantitative success, but qualitative failure. And next one is your intranet post only has 500 views, which you consider to be not huge. in correlation with your audience. But 80% of those viewers left thoughtful comments and shared it with their teams, and that's a small audience for you, but high resonance. So don't chase vanity metrics, chase valuable metrics, those that link to understanding, trust, and behavior change. So you always need to combine both lenses. Now, let's talk about why this is especially challenging. Yes. So in many organizations, internal communication strategies were built for office-based employees, people who sit at desks with company laptops, regular access to email, intranet, Teams, Slack, whatever you're using. That's great for white-collar workers. But what about the blue-collar workers? They are mobile, they operational, and they rarely have digital access during work hours. So for them, communication happens in meetings, in break rooms, through shift briefings, WhatsApp groups, or Facebook groups, or even posters, digital notice boards, or even word of mouth. And yet, these are often the employees who have the biggest impact on customer experience and safety and brand reputation as well. So if our measurement method only track what happens on email or intranet, we are missing half the company. So for example, a CEO blog might get like 5,000 views from the office stuff. But the same message printed as a poster in a warehouse or turned into a 20-second video on screen during lunch, maybe, yeah, and then it might reach twice as much, like 10,000 frontline employees. So different channels and different impact, different ways to measure success in this area. But let's just talk about what does success look like when we are comparing these two words. So for white-collar teams, success often means open rates, click rates, internet engagement, or sentiment in digital surveys. For blue-collar teams, it's much more behavior-based. So did teams discuss the new safety update in a daily briefing, or did we see an increase in participation at shift meetings after a new communication rollout? Let me tell you just an example. So for example, a company has tried a new approach. They added a simple QR code at the bottom of their document, and for example, a payslip, and it linked to a 60-second video of the CEO speaking. So they tracked how many people scanned it and ran a short 3-question survey after, and that small experiment, what they did, tripled the message reach and improved message recall compared to old method. What we can guess, I'd wager, be email. But every organization has that one type of post that always goes viral. Yes. So what if someone brings their puppy or cat, dog to work? Someone's baby photo appears, or someone retires after 20 years, and then boom, engagement explodes. But then what if the CEO shares a detailed strategy update, and then suddenly that engagement just falls? But why? Because emotion drives attention. So people respond to human moments more than corporate updates. And we don't need to choose between them, but we can learn from what works emotionally and apply that energy to success critical messages. So for example, instead of a text-heavy strategy email, share a short video of the manager or the CEO walking through the factory floor, explaining what the new goals mean in practice. Add storytelling, faces, and emotion, and your metrics will follow. And it's all about humanizing the message. But let's break it down by industry for a moment, because measurement looks different everywhere. So for example, in manufacturing, success might be, did safety incidents decrease after communication campaign? Or did more employees complete the required training on time? In retail, you might track how many staff scanned the QR codes on posters about the new product launch, or used internal platforms to share local success stories. In finance, for example, you might measure how many people clicked to read leadership updates, or how sentiment about leadership improved in pulse surveys. So each sector has its unique rhythm, but the principle is the same. Measurement must fit the reality of the work. So the best internal comms teams design measurement that match the rhythm of people that they are communicating with. But now let's take a step back and look at the bigger strategic picture for a second. This visual shows us where measurement fits in both HR, Word, and communications. And as you can see, we try to visualize it, but it's not at the top. It's the foundation that holds everything together. So let's start with the HR side. HR's top priorities are talent attraction and retention, so keeping great people in the company, employee experience and engagement, making sure everyone feel heard and valued, and also connected, skills development and reskilling, preparing employees for new roles and technologies, and then we have well-being and inclusion. So creating a culture where everyone feels safe and supported. So, but what supports all of that at the base? It's measurement. It's measurement of HR and communications impact. If we can't measure what employees feel, how engaged they are, or how communication affects their performance, we are just blind. So now let's look at the communication side. Reputation and crisis management are one of the priorities, protecting the company's credibility. In employee communication and engagement, so delivering meaningful two-way dialogue. External brand storytelling, aligning internal and external narratives. And we have AI-driven content and channel optimization, adapting in real-time based data. And at this base again, so measurement and analytics of effectiveness. So measurement in this context is both the foundation and the feedback loop. The loop is, if the base layer that supports everything, it also loops back, closing a circle. We measure, we learn, we adjust, and then we communicate again, but smarter. And it's all because of measurement. But let's add one more layer, and we're going to talk a little bit about AI. Yes. So AI is not just good for creating content. It's quickly becoming our tool for measurement, and it's a very powerful one. First, we have the sentiment analysis. So tools like Microsoft Viva Insight or Workplace by Meta, they can analyze thousands of comments, chat messages, survey answers in seconds. They identify recurring themes like safety, trust, burnout, and visualize them as insights you can act on. Secondly, we have prediction analytics. Imagine combining HR data with comms data. So AI can identify patterns that humans might miss. For example, when declining engagement scores overlap with reduced internet activity or fewer QR scans on posters. It's like a radar for disengagement before it becomes turnover. And third, we have optimization. So AI can suggest which channels works best for you and for your audience, test headlines and predict click rates, or even recommend the best time of the day to post on the internet. So AI helps us. It won't replace us, but it helps with by automating what's used to take weeks and giving us time to focus on the strategy. And yes, it's faster, deeper, and smarter. So if you know how to use it, it can be in your advantage. Now let's talk about ownership. HR focused on what messages to communicate, like policies, benefits, people strategies, and communication focused on how to deliver those messages, tone, channel, storytelling. But measurement is in the intersection. So in the new model, HR defines what matters. What matters are retention, engagement, well-being, and inclusion. And comms measures how well it lands: reach, understanding, behavior change, and sentiment. And this is no longer a turf war. It's more like a partnership. So by 2025, measurement isn't owned by HR and comms alone. It's a joint accountability space where both speak the same language, and this is the language of impact. But we can start small. So here are some hacks and tips you can use and implement. First, for example, replace long annual surveys with one question full surveys every month, or use QR codes on posters, digital screens to track real engagement. And you can even run A/B testing on internet headlines to see the tone of voice that drives clicks. Or you can host like 15-20 minutes focus group sessions after a campaign to get qualitative feedback. Though if you have a survey, and if you send out a survey which is anonymous, they might be more open to give feedback. So the goal here with the measurement is actually to collect data that drives decision. So if there's one message to take away from today, is this one. So by 2025 and 2026, measurement is no longer optional. It's not something we do at the end of the campaign. It's what guides the campaign from the start. So measurement is how HR and comms speak the language of impact. And if we can finally prove its value, then measurement is what matters, where it matters. Thank you so much for joining today and having me as your friend for lunch and for coffee. And subscribe to our channel if you'd like to hear more about these tips in this area. We are also giving tips on how we can track white and blue collar workers at the same time and give the same analytics in both realities and both words. So thank you very much.